does anybody have any questions before we start? No? Okay, cool. Easy peasy. So this is basically what we'll be going through today. It is only an hour, so we're going to be kind of squeezing a lot of stuff into one time period. But first we're going to talk about current knowledge, just kind of figure out what you know about your community so far. And this isn't really for us, it's not like a test. It's just more for you. It's more for you to figure out kind of what you know about the community you work in, how comfortable you are reaching out to organizations that, how comfortable you are reaching out to organizations that are, that maybe you haven't reached out to yet, that you haven't created community connections with. So we will ask you some questions, we'll do an activity, and then we'll go through some scenarios about, you know, what you will probably encounter when you're doing parenting classes or working with parents. Because we also understand that not everyone here is doing parenting classes, but we also work with parents who may need resources. So, let's see. And then the next thing we're going to be doing is going over quite a few resources that we know of and that are specific to our counties. We'll talk a little bit about accessibility of the organizations we're referring to, and then we'll finish up with assisting clients on how to follow up and stay connected with those communities, or organizations, sorry. All right, so this is our first exercise. What we're gonna do is, I'm gonna have you all, it's kind of like a garden walk kind of thing, but it's not any kind of like exercise. But if you can tell, we have 1, 5, and 10. This is just to represent like a scale of 1 to 10. So ideally, 1 would mean that you strongly agree with or disagree with the statement. 5 means you're neutral towards the statement I'm going to say, and then 10 is I strongly agree with the statement. And then once we kind of go through those questions, and not a question, it's a statement. But once I say the statement and you choose where you are on the spectrum, we'll give you some opportunities to discuss why you chose that place on the spectrum. And we'll also circle back around to this at the end, just to see if maybe your community knowledge has grown. All right, so I'll ask you all to kind of stand up. And let's see. Okay, so our first statement, and you don't necessarily have to come to this side of the room, you can just go on that side of the room, but this was just a visual for like, okay, so the first statement is, did I put the statements in here? Oh yeah. Yeah. Did I? Yes. Where did they, they're on the notes. Yep. Could you grab the, I don't think I have them up here. Ah, there they are. Alright. Sorry about that, everyone. Alright, so, our first statement is, I am confident in my community connections. So 1 is over here, you really disagree with that statement. 5 is neutral, and then 10 is you really agree with that statement. Like you're so confident that you...
I'm just new here.
Totally. Alright, so we've got some kind of like neutral one that's way over on the one side. Would you mind giving us a little bit of example of why you chose that?
I'm a retired teacher from Vermont.
Okay.
And I started working for the Children's Home in August with the WAC program, so unfortunate acronym, but it's wraparound casework working with teens on probation.
Okay.
So I've been mostly concentrating on working with the teen and the parent, and now I'm ready to branch out and start being able to refer to food shelves and medical help and all kinds of things that I'm seeing. Even though that's not really my job description, I find a lot of need in the families that I serve.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. Anyone in the middle want to share?
I'm just like newer to like the position where we are.
Mm-hmm.
We were at the Psych Center in Ogdensburg
Yeah.
for children and youth, and we're the outpatient clinic. So like I help the therapists refer the children to different, I guess, anything, like their assessments for autism, things like that, or other hospitals, other programs for them and the family.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, absolutely.
We can always always find more resources too. so.
Right.
Yeah, you can always get more information, for sure. Do you wanna share yours?
Yeah, I think I'm neutral because we're starting a parent program, hopefully. You know, I work primarily with teens and leadership for 4-H Onondaga County. So new position for me, though I've been in Onondaga County for, working over 35 years. I'm neutral because I don't know where to go for those resources yet,
Thanks.
right?
Yeah,
So,
well, it's great that you're here, because we're gonna help you out with that.
good.
All right, so the next statement is, I know where to look within my community when parents ask me something I'm not sure of.
I usually ask you or.
Run over to neutral.
I'm still here.
Yeah.
Can
And
you-
We all have our coworker go-to.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we don't necessarily have to, like, if we don't have a discussion after every single one, we don't have to, like, we don't have anything to share, that's totally fine. Does anyone want to share anything about this particular statement? It's okay if you don't. Okay. All right, so the third statement is, I can provide someone with resources for childcare options in the community.
Yeah.
Run over to no.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I'm not saying.
Okay, so a little bit more spread out.
Kind of.
So we've got some folks in there could use more resources for connecting parents to childcare, and then you all are pretty comfortable with that.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, and then the last statement is, I can give someone information about behaviors, financial assistance, job hunting, or food banks.
That's us.
Shouldn't have cleaned it.
Going through the wall. All the way to 0.
Yeah.
That's totally fine. We're all able to, we all start from different points. So it's a good thing, again, it's a good thing you're here. Does anyone wanna, share any comments about their connections to community resources?
That's kind of basically what I do, because we work at the
Yeah.
psych center, so there's a lot of behavioral, so like, we branch out to different community resources, so.
yeah, the community we're in is smaller, so, and we've always lived there, so.
Yeah, awesome.
Do you find that more helpful if you're like from that area?
Yes.
That's an interesting point. Yeah, like, because I'm not from this area, and so it takes me a lot more to be able to find the community resources. So it does help to be from the community for sure.
It's at Google.
I can clean.
Do you need this?
Okay. All right.
We'll do something. Great. So we've got a few scenarios that you may encounter when you're working with parents. A lot of these are in the context of if you are holding a parenting class, but it can also be in the context of if you have an appointment with a parent or what?
You guys can go side now.
Oh yeah, sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm just gonna keep you standing the whole time.
We just didn't want to interrupt. You're
No,
good.
no, you're totally fine. I'm just like going straight through and it's totally fine.
We take care of them.
So this one is an interesting situation because it'll be a common one that I often encounter. Let's say maybe a family can't make it to a 4-H club or a parenting program or your appointment or something like that. And it's because they don't have, maybe they lost their babysitter or they had to change daycares or something, and they are struggling to find another option. So this would be a good opportunity to, Jen has she's been building a list of community resources. It's a very big, that whole package is one copy.
So I will be emailing them.
So
because
that
at first
will be
I was
emailed
going
to
to
you all.
print, and then I looked at how many, and I'm not even, I still have more that I want to input on there that I found.
Yeah.
So you will be getting it from my email.
Okay.
Sounds good.
So does anybody have, just to start out, any good suggestions that they would jump to automatically if they need to help a family find childcare?
Interestingly, I'm not sure about childcare, but the mandated reporter training that we have to do every year
Yeah.
is getting better and better and has lots of resources right on the website. website,
Yeah.
so.
It really does, and that's a great place to look. That's a great point, is that a lot of our trainings that we have to go through in order to do work with kids is, that can come in handy in a lot of other different avenues as well, for sure. Does anybody else have?
So what we found is folks who can't find childcare options, come to 4-H or come to CCE events, and inevitably it's, kids don't want to sit in a meeting or a kids meeting, so there's a lot of movement and chatter. So what I did was I asked some of my teen council leaders, look, I know these folks can't find childcare. The kids are getting a little antsy. Could you go out and do some fun games with them out in another room? So we've kind of done that. But then I talked to the parents about, I don't know if they'll be here every week to take care of the kids. I know I want you to be here with your other kids. So, do you know what your options are? So,
Right, absolutely.
you know.
Yeah, and that brings up a good point, that we can look within our own organizations too, and our own programs to try and help with that. So one of the examples that I would say is, if this family was in Watertown, we probably would point them to like YMCA, some of the SAC programs. They often have like after-school childcare. We also do after-school programs, although we have like a waiting list, and there's often, it's a whole thing. They have to sign up early and stuff. So
Another one is JLCP.
yeah.
That's at, their office is located at, lots of acronyms, CAPC, which is Community Action Planning Council.
Yeah. There's a lot of acronyms, absolutely. So this one, a parent has a child that is struggling with chronic misbehaviors in the school setting. This one, there are quite a few community organizations that you could reach out to help with this. Does anybody have any?
CHJC has one.
Yeah, great. Yeah, and that's you're
That's mine.
from that
Yeah.
organization. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, so CHJC is a great example. I think NERCL does NERCL too? Yeah, NERCL does stuff in schools as well. And this could be for school age or even high school.
And I know like through us, we go through our MIT team, because they also like help in the school, or they kind of observe what's going on in the classroom, or like they have the kids come down to see them, as well as our therapists also go into the school, so they kind of like go through those channels to get to the resources that we have available for them, depending on like what their behaviors are in the classroom or in school, things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that really taps into kind of the main point of most of this, is that there are ways that we can tie together a network to really help out a family so that multiple organizations can come in.
And we also, we do a lot with the CHJC too.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so this one, yes, okay, so a parent you're working with has a child on the autism spectrum and needs support at their home and in the classroom. At this time, and this is just a scenario, at this time you do not know enough to educate them directly about this. How would you help this family while also expanding your knowledge about this to help future families? So what kind of organization do you think would you connect them with to help them right now, and then how would you kind of look for information so that you could help a family directly in the future? Does anybody have any ideas?
See what's available in the school, like see what kind of evaluations or testing that they can do. If they're thinking it's autism, or if they actually have the autism diagnosis, like where they could be tested for that.
Yeah, like giving them a list of all the places they can be tested, for sure.
Doesn't the ARC have programs?
Yes, and DPAO, that's another acronym.
Disabled Persons Actions Organization.
Yes. They also have a lot of information, you can reach out to them, so that's also a good option.
NERCL's another one.
NERCL.
They'll help assist you in the school. Personal, my son is on the spectrum, and I needed guidance on the school for like 504, so they were right there, offered books, anything that they needed, so having their support actually had helped a tremendous amount.
I think too, parents get awful, there's a lot to handle, and respite resources just to go grocery shopping.
Yeah.
Just maybe even a night out, so any respite we can get.
Absolutely.
Isn't there one that ends with PWD? Oh, yeah,
Yes.
OPWD. Isn't that another one?
I believe so. Yeah.
OPWDD?
Oh, yeah. How can I forget? It's unbelievable that everyone
There's literally so many acronyms that it's so hard to keep track of.
And on that aspect with the respite care as well, a lot of us, it's that internal of just getting the kids down. And then kind of falling by the wayside for the family, but it is when you just need, maybe 20 minutes to go grocery shopping just to get out of the house.
Yeah, and that can be really helpful for parents, especially if they're just like discovering this diagnosis, and that's like a really big thing to be going through, and so they need as much support as possible. All right, so this one is a really, really important one, because I know in Watertown and the communities I serve, it's a common problem. So a client of yours is struggling to get food on the table and therefore is struggling to focus when at your lessons or visits, or whatever you all do with parents. How can you help this family? So, do you all know organizations in your area that you could help with?
Salvation Army.
Yeah, Salvation Army.
The food pantries that we have right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. There's also sometimes, at least I know we do it in Watertown, there are church communities that are doing community meals every night of the week, which is really nice. So that can be a really good thing for parents to go and take their kids, take a whole meal,
Some
and
of
it's
the
a free
schools
meal.
have pantries too.
Yes.
Schools.
Yeah, some of the schools, absolutely, and the schools also have, is it the backpack program? Yeah, so that's also another option to possibly connect parents to.
Another one that is somewhat forgotten is the Food Sense program. So the Food Sense is in different locations, depends on where you can order it from, but it is, each month it changes, but it's items that you can purchase at a discounted price. So it's a really great aspect to have that, if you can budget that with the family and make it an every month thing, that they have at least those staples.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so. All right, so the next thing we're going to talk about is helping clients connect and stay connected with these organizations. So one of the things I know about parenting education is that it can be really, really difficult at times to get parents to follow through with these community connections. Some of the things that can help is one, by establishing trust with them, just so that when you suggest a place, they know like, oh, I can trust this person. They have my best interest in mind, and that just that's going to be something that we are going to talk about in our next webinar, or our next seminar, building community connections and building connections with your clients. So we will talk more about that in the next one. So some of the things, some of the other things are being knowledgeable about the organizations that you're recommending. If you don't know, you don't need to know everything about the organization, but it is important to know who you're recommending them to go to and what exactly they offer. Also, offer help with contacting them, maybe offer to send a connection email between you and the person. Maybe they have some social anxiety and they struggle to make new connections. So this is a way that you can help them to kind of move through that. You can also have them, help them call on your next visit. Like at your next visit, maybe call NERPL for some help on, stuff in the school, discipline stuff in the school, or things like that. And having someone there with the parent, like yourself, can be a really good way we call it body doubling, but it's a way to help someone get something done, and while holding them accountable for it, but not making them feel shameful, I guess, about not doing it yet. And then having a list of all community, or not all, but a lot of the community agencies that you recommend often. It's good to kind of have a list that you can send to them, but also I often will have like a little printout. I put it on a little sheet of like half or quarter paper that has the numbers for several, like maybe victims assistance and crisis center and those kinds of places, just so that if they need that in a short moment, like they have it right there. So that can be really helpful. And then the main thing is just to be patient. I think we can expect a lot of parents, and we don't necessarily think about all the time how much they have going on. They often, especially parents who are dealing with some kids that might be in the system, they have to go to tons of visits and mental health things, and I mean there's a lot of appointments that they have to get to. So,
And with parents of supporting kids on probation, there's also anger.
oh
Because the
yes,
whole family's on probation once the teen goes on probation.
Yeah.
And,
yeah,
so you're dealing with anger too. I was gonna note that it's frustrating to me that people can't set a schedule and follow it. I mean, cognitively I know why, but like emotionally I'm like, why can't you just do that every other Monday? Because if they, for instance, would go to the food pantry the same day every other week or every week, then I would have that on my calendar and be able to transport or give them a reminder text, and I feel like the more routinized things can be, the more successful the families are, but
yeah.
they bulk
Yeah.
against that.
It's true, and it's really about finding a balance. It can look like gentle reminders, like the next time you see them, you can just say, hey, did you reach out to this person? And if they didn't, you can say, hey, how about we call them today? And just I mean, you don't want to like roll over them like a steamroller, but kind of push them towards the because we know they need this help, and it can also, there's also a pride element to it. It can be really hard to ask for help, so, and to admit that you need it, so just taking that into consideration as well. But yes, I totally agree, it can be really hard. I do like home visits with parents, and it can be really hard because I want to just schedule a home visit every other week, and just do it, but then something comes up and like they have another something, and then there's a visit or and so we have to reschedule, or I don't get a response, or there's always something, and so patience is one of your best friends. But it is a skill. It's like a muscle that we have to practice, and so it is always okay to kind of step back and be like, I need to take a break for 5 minutes, and I'll call you back. All right, so this is just an important kind of thought experiment. I don't know if we actually have time. Do we have time? Okay, cool. So I'll just ask you all to think about and search up on your phones possibly the how accessible organizations are that you're referring your clients to. So if you can just pick an organization, maybe like well, you wouldn't pick CHJC, but maybe you guys would pick CHJC, and like go on the website and see if like the parenting information for, let's say, mental health services or childcare or one of these specific categories, like, do you have to dig really deep into the website to find it? If you do, it'd be good to consider sending your clients the direct link to the page. I know and CCE is horrible at this, I know from experience that our website, to get to the parenting information, it is very difficult. Most of our website is dominated by agriculture and after school and energy, and so that stuff really isn't, parents have to kind of weed through a lot in order to get to our parenting stuff. So, you know, it's important to think about when you're recommending an organization to a family, and if you just say, oh, just Google CHJC, what are they actually gonna find? Are they gonna find what you're looking for? Are they gonna find what you want them to find? Or are they going to be stuck looking through tons of, you know, pages?
Or no pages.
Yeah, or
It's
no
just-
pages.
Just a cover page.
Yeah, exactly.
Call the
Sometimes,
clinic, you know.
yeah, sometimes that's the case as well. So something that might be helpful is taking this experiment into just your work life, and when you think about referring someone to a specific service, before you do that, maybe look on the website first and like really dig deep and see where that information is that you're trying to get them to. Because I've had so many situations where I'll be like, oh yeah, just look on our website. And then parents are like, I am so lost, I have no idea where I'm going. So, you know, part of it is, it's really important to kind of just make sure that we are as accessible as possible. I do know that, you know, us as educators, we don't have the ability to change whether our organization or a different organization is higher on the list, like we're not marketing. So, I mean, we can't necessarily directly change this, but we can kind of navigate it so that we can help our clients to get the information we need. So this is another kind of thing to think about. How would you search as a parent? So if you were just a parent and looking for this information, how would you search for these things? And do you think you would find what you were looking for? I mean, this is why we as parenting educators just look into their websites. They are harder to navigate, but if you, like you know now, you kind of have to like dig very deep into our websites in order to find what you're really looking for. And they're all the same layout, so there's not like, you're not gonna go to one and then find a totally different like website layout.
I think the key there is pushing people to keep them updated.
Yeah.
Because you'll look into a website for information and it'll be from 2019 and you realize, uh-oh,
Oh no.
you know, nobody's been watching.
Yep, I don't
So
think this is
when
the
I
right
came
person.
on board, I looked at that initially and I said, look, how do people get resources? These programs don't even exist anymore. And so we started holding each other accountable. And because if not, it's just a rabbit hole.
Yeah, you're totally right.
Yeah.
It is. We have a lot of rabbit holes in this business.
It's that constant information change and
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really
grants
is.
changing hands
Yeah.
and, you know, somebody moving to a different, organization that was your, you know, your person of contact and.
Yeah. And it's frustrating for parents who then take that step to call the CCE or get in touch and ask about a program and they say, oh yeah, that doesn't exist anymore. Right? So they lose that impetus yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they lose their steam of
So
like.
yeah, keep up to date
Yeah.
with stuff.
Yeah, and one way we can help with that is like if you notice that if you find some information and you're not sure if it's up to date, just call and like call the
Yeah.
local CCE and see if that person is still the point of contact. Like,
Hold us accountable.
yeah.
Yes. Do you know how, this is probably off subject, but how people can get vouchers to use at the Salvation Army for clothing?
For which one here?
Yeah. I asked at the Salvation Army itself and they said they'd never heard of that, but there's
Oh.
definitely vouchers that are being given out. I just don't know where to get them.
I know, so there's two separate Salvation Armies. There's the store, and then there's the Salvation Army up here.
Yeah.
As far as last I checked, they did give out vouchers at this Salvation Army up on State Street. To go
Okay.
to that one, I am not sure. You also have Urban Mission here in Watertown. The critical needs, you can go and ask them for vouchers for their thrift shop that's attached to that same building to go shop at.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is just kind of to get you used to seeing these community organization logos. So what's really important right here is to kind of figure out how, sorry, I just lost my spot in the paper. Oh God, everything's fine. Don't panic. So right here, we really want to think about who is part of our networks and how to tell if they're a good resource for you in this moment. And that will change based on different clients, different needs, but it's just an important thing to think about. There's, sometimes CCE might not be where you need to recommend someone to go. Right now, we're not taking on a lot of breastfeeding referrals, so I would probably push that off to another organization. There's situations where, sometimes I'll get a call and someone's asking for something that's just not in my wheelhouse, and so that'll be, it's a good thing to kind of recognize these, and because we see them everywhere. A lot of these organizations are multi-county. I know that, I know that Citizens Advocates is, and the Pregnancy Care Centers are both,
Catholic Charities are.
yeah, Catholic Charities.
I want to say almost everything on there is.
Yeah, almost everything. So, these aren't the only ones as well. There's tons, as you've seen from the giant list that Jen has of all the community organizations. So, it's just important to kind of think about what information you're really trying to get and how you're going to get it to the parents, and if it's really going to be super helpful, I guess. You want to provide them with, obviously, the most helpful information that you can. And like I said, it's never like a bad thing to say, I'm not actually sure, and let me figure it out and get back to you. Like that actually is a very professional thing to do, because it's admitting that, we don't know everything, and that, this is why we have community connections, so that if we don't know how to connect someone, we can, or if we don't know how to help someone in the moment, we can connect them with someone who can. All right, so we don't have to get up and do the walk on the spectrum again, but with those similar questions or statements, how do you all feel about community resources now? Are you a little bit more, do you think if a parent came to you and said, hey, I really need some help finding childcare, I can't make it to your class this week, or I can't make it to our appointment, do you think you'd be able to kind of reach out and possibly maybe send them in the direction of some childcare?
No,
You don't think so?
actually don't know. I mean, except for calling the school.
Well, absolutely, and that's one of the reasons why we are gonna be sending you the big list
Awesome.
of. We will send you that list.
Okay.
Because we wanna make sure that you guys leave here with as many resources as possible. So, she's not quite done with the list yet. What are you trying to do? I'm trying to get your internet. Okay. Oh, to the internet? Oh, right, the QR code. Oh. Oh.
So
She's setting something up.
you kind of asked for a button, kind of,
Yeah.
don't have a button, but in my research,
Oh, yeah.
I
this is
have
good.
found
This is really good.
the 211 CNY.com. So you can go in, and it has Onondaga, Oswego, Jefferson, Lewis, St. Lawrence County.
Those are the only ones offered so far, right?
On here,
On
yes.
there, yeah.
So we'll just say Jefferson County, and it will take me there. And if you'll go down,
Oh, look at that.
yep,
Yeah.
you have all of those. A good one is this top one when it comes up. Because this one, now, again, I don't think this one's kept completely up to date constantly, but if you scroll down, there are your buttons. You have food, housing, employment, government, mental health, addictions, family, legal, health, transportation, disaster, and military.
Yeah.
So,
So 211's like on the web, not like when folks say call or get in touch with 211, it's not a get on your phone like it's,
you can dial for 211 for help.
can you?
Yep.
Okay.
So there's a couple things. You can dial 211 for help. It helps with the accessibility. So if if your client doesn't have that great reading level,
Right.
or ability to,
So it's both.
yes,
Good.
it's both that you can do.
Right.
So,
Okay.
again,
I see dial 211.
yep, I was pulling some of the information from here, but definitely make sure, if you go on and say you already know that your client's coming in and they have an issue with putting food on the table, and you're not quite sure what's around, pull this up really quick, pull my cheat sheet up that I have, but, that's, as of right now, it's at 71 pages, so it's a lot of stuff.
That's a lot of pages.
And then you can direct them, but just kind of make sure before you give them that information, again, that it's up to date, because I was kind of going through and I found that there was like 4 or 5 that weren't up and running anymore. Which again, and that's another aspect with the economy now, is those food banks are starting to become less and less. And so knowing as many as possible that can service different areas is a great thing to have. There was, I think, 2 separate ones that looking at it, you're like, oh, it's just gonna be for this area, and then you actually read it and it covered most of the counties listed on here. So it's just that information being available and needed. And now,
Yeah, so that is actually a fantastic resource that we definitely encourage you all to use. Hopefully the stuff is kept up to date relatively well. That seems to be a common problem. All right, so does anybody have any questions or anything before we just do a little wrap up? Okay. And if you all have questions, feel free to reconnect with Jen or I, and we'll try to answer your questions to the best of our ability. So we have a link. Do you want to explain this? A link for?
we have a survey. David probably knows, CCE loves surveys to
Okay.
get their information, so if you would not mind, the QR code on screen, or there are some QR codes that are printed on the table, and fill out the survey for us, just so we can improve this presentation. Again, this was our first one.
Yeah.
So we were kind of building this from the ground up, so open to all suggestions, and then also it helps with the demographics and our grant aspect.
And if you need to get closer, you
Yeah,
can. It can be hard to scan from all
And
the
then
way.
you have one right underneath.
Oh yeah, there's one right here.
it says for strong roots.
Yes, yeah.